Let's get to it. This is history. On April 5, 1960, the government of Guatemala, in Decree number 3044, established Tecun Uman is consecrated as a national hero and symbol of the defense of Guatemalan nationality. To honor his memory, February 20 of each year is declared Heroes Day. Who was Tecun Uman? He's part of the pre-Hispanic past of what is now called Guatemala. We find his figure on banknotes, statues, street and plaza names, and even a city near the border with Mexico bears his name. And as always in history, there are doubts about his existence. Tecun Uman is said to have died in battle on February 20, 1524. That is why his figure is celebrated on that day. Some point out that is not the true name, but what is retained is that he was a Quiche, Maya. There are those who propose that his Maya name was Ahaugalel, which translates to the grandson of the king. Others suggest he could have been Tecun Uman, King Kikap, whose translation is Tecum, grandson of the king Kikap. And others, Kuk Uman Ahau Tecum, or the elder of the green feathers, Lord Tecum. To understand him better, we need to talk about his great Spanish antagonist. I'm referring to Pedro de Alvarado. It is known that Hernán Cortés, Alvarado, and other Spaniards subdued Tenochtitlan in 1521. After that, they continued to expand into other territories, adding to their forces warriors from defeated groups. Regarding Alvarado, the Mexica called him Tonatiuh, or the sun, as he had reddish hair like rays of the sun. He was one of the Cortés' most brutal captains, as one of his works caused a massacre at Old Mexica Great Temple. Wherever he went, he was marked by his violence, until he finally died in battle in western Mexico, in the so-called Mixton War. Of course, between Tenochtitlan and his death, Alvarado was sent to what is now called Central America under orders from Cortés. The Spaniards were few in number, as most of their war contingents were made up of warriors from subject or allied peoples. Thus Tonatiuh headed here with a contingent made up mainly of Mexicas and Tlaxcalans. On the other hand, in the present day, Guatemala region and Central America in general, many groups existed, including the Maya, Pipiles, Tutugiles, and others, which, as in almost all the continent, had their own internal feuds, especially between the Quiche Mayas and the Kaqchikels. So, as Cortés did, Alvarado took advantage of the internal division of Central American groups, and little by little, he subdued people. And although there were places with Mayan names, since there were Mexicas and Tlaxcalans in his forces, later several places in Guatemala received Nahuatl names. For example, Cumarcash, the Quiche capital, which would be called Utatlan by the Mexicas, or Xelajuh No, the secondary capital, called Quetzaltenango. While in the area, Alvarado forged alliances, but due to this cruelty, these alliances eventually broke. On the side of Quiche Mayas, they were a confederation where it is said that there were 4 main chiefs, one of each cardinal point, and one of them would have been Tucum. Thus, in the face of Alvarado's advance, the Quiches decide to appoint Tecun Uman as the army's leader. And before the decisive battle, he and other Quiche warriors performed dances, ceremonies, temazcals, and other religious rites in Xelajuh No, Quetzaltenango. Afterward, they left there to face Alvarado. Now, there are disagreements about the Tecun Uman died, since the main document that narrates these events is a deteriorated document called Título Coyoy, written between 1550 and 1560, which is now located in Princeton University's library in the United States. That is something written almost 3 or 4 decades after our hero's death, so there are those who doubt his existence. On the other hand, we have letters written by Pedro de Alvarado himself, reporting the events of the subjugation of the area. For those who believe Tecún never existed, they also rely on the fact that Alvarado never mentions his name. What he referred to was as follows. And here, a great pursuit and punishment was made, during which one of the 4 lords of the city of Billiton died, who came as capital general of all the land. Alvarado never mentioned the name Tecún, but others believe this was the capital general Alvarado was referring to. However, the Título Coyoy does refer to Tecún and his confirmation with Alvarado. In general terms, the battle is described mentioning that Tecún wore a magnificent war outfit with Quetzal feathers, gold, and other precious objects. During the battle, he supposedly charged at Alvarado, who was riding his horse. It is said he even tore off the horse's head, but during the conflict he was also attacked by the Spaniards' dogs and died in battle. Other versions indicate that after falling from his horse, Alvarado got up and killed him with his sword, stabbing him on the heart. Of course, the second version is a bit more idealized, as it even mentions that a Quetzal bird perched on his blood, and from there comes the wreath on the bird chest. But what the versions agree on is that countless people died alongside Tecún, in the Paca Valley or Llanos del Pinal, beside Candelaria Hill, in what is now the highlands of Guatemala. And for further doubts, the exact moment of his death is also unknown, since Alvarado and his ally fought 2 battles on their way to present-day Quetzaltenango. One version claims that Tecún died in the first battle, while another says it was in the final battle. Additionally, after defeating the Quiche Mayas, Alvarado asked the Mexicas the name of a nearby mountain. They told him it was called Tenango, and so Alvarado named it Quetzaltenango, because the great capital had recently died there. This last point, according to the Título Coyoy. Although other options suggest that the place was already called that by the Mexicas, even before the arrival of the Spaniards. But it's also possible that thanks to Tecún, it is called this way since Quetzaltenango means place of the Quetzal's feathers. And well, in my experience I know that the big tours always write history. And not just hundreds, but thousands of characters fell to the Spaniards' advance. Of whom not even their names remain. But in the case of Tecun Uman, at least we have records that refer to him, which allows us the possibility of further investigating this character, and who knows, maybe someday more documents will appear confirming his existence. But today, this Quetzal warrior is part of Guatemala's pride.